So my first dream that I remember, actually, I think it's the only dream I remember. It felt like it was really long. It was another weird work dream where I'm at work with my coworkers, and there's a manager's there to have like a big meeting, and we're all just working, and he's explaining something about a new system or a new procedure that we have to do, and it's like some big project, and we're all in this. It looks like a warehouse and an office at the same time. And there's a couple managers. There's like two bosses there, and there's a bunch of us workers. And there's way more workers than I recognize. People that like new employees or something, and I don't recognize a lot of them, but I know we're all working together, and we're talking, and we're having this long meeting, and he's explaining all these random stuff about like basically what's going to be happening in the near future, how things are changing, and people are walking around setting stuff up and cleaning, and it's getting close to the end of the shift. I remember it's like I can't remember, but it's time to basically like finish work and leave. And a couple people leave, a couple people are staying, like they're working longer than their shift, but they don't want to. It's almost like people have lost track of time, so they can't really remember. Like it's like they forget or something. Then like some of them kind of realize. I look at the clock and I realize it's late. Like we need to leave. It's getting late in the suddenly it's like later in the evening. It was so weird, but I'm and I have like a backpack with me, I think, at one point. So it suddenly shifts from work. It's not like a work thing anymore. It's being at school, like university or college. And it kind of shifts between this manager at work turning into like a teacher or a professor. So it's actually like a class now. It's like some classroom, and I've finished work, but the work has turned into a class, so the class is done, and the professor, who was basically like my manager at work, is now my professor, and he's finished his lecture or whatever. And so I leave this building or this classroom because again, it's turned into like a classroom, and so I walk over to my next class, and one of my coworkers was basically turns into one of my classmates, and so we leave, and we go to our second class, and it's like this weird classroom. It looks so weird. It's a big room, and it has like glass walls on one side, and there's no desks. It's just chairs, and people start sitting in the chairs. And so we walk into this classroom, and my friend sits down, and I realize that. So I'm in this class too. It's our second class, but I, for whatever reason, I decide to suddenly skip it. I don't want to attend this classroom that day or whatever. So I remember he's sitting in the front row, this friend of mine, and then I realized that from the previous classroom, which was actually my like job or my workplace, I had been pushing some TV stand. It's except there wasn't a TV. It was like it's kind of like in high school when you have to those television sets when you're going to watch a movie in class for the day. I had been pushing that basically from the previous classroom to this classroom, but instead of having a TV on the stand, it was my backpack, and it was like this big, like dark colored backpack that I had. And so I push it into the classroom, like kind of bring it in there, and I realized that I was supposed to technically take it back, or like I shouldn't have brought it or something. Like I basically rolled this thing all the way into the second classroom, and I take my backpack off of it, and I realize there's like this pink backpack on the bottom, like it's like two levels. It has like two shelves basically, and there's a pink like a pink backpack, and I realize it belongs to another student from the previous class. And so then I'm like, oh crap, and I don't want to take it back. So I just kind of push this like stand on wheels, whatever it was. It's like some weird, I don't know, cart basically. It's like a plastic cart. So I push it to the back of the classroom, and the classroom's filling up with more people now. And then I realize the professor's going to start the class soon. And I'm like, okay, screw this. I leave the cart there with the pink backpack on it. I take my backpack and I leave. So then I walk out of the classroom, and as I'm leaving, my friend's there. So I kind of I give him a props. I go to shake his hand, and then he holds on to my hand for a second, and then as I'm leaving him, I go to let go of his hand, but it's like my hand is behind me now, and he plays a trick on me by leaving something in my. So I think it's his hand, but it's like a fake hand or a piece of plastic or something that I'm holding in my hand as I walk out, and then I look at my hand and I realize I'm still holding this thing. It was very weird. It's like one of those tricks where people leave like a fake hand, like a plastic hand or like a toy hand in somebody's hand when they're not paying attention, like when you're holding hands with someone, and then they replace their own hand with one of these fake toy hands. So he basically does that as I leave the classroom, and I just kind of laugh at myself. I'm like, oh, that's so stupid, and I throw this weird plastic thing off to the side, and then I'm walking down the hallway, I've left the classroom. I'm basically walking to go to my car, which is parked somewhere, and for some reason it's really busy now too. There's students everywhere. All these students are walking to class or walking from class to leave, and so there's like some random chair in the hallway, and I end up sitting down and I'm eating a snack. It's like a candy thing. I don't know why. I just suddenly decide to stop, sit down, and I have this little plastic bag, and there's these little white candies. They look like sugar coated. It's weird. It's almost like they're like nerds, the candy nerds, but they're white. And they're crunchy and they're very sweet though. I remember that's like just basically just some pure sugar junk food candies thing. And so I'm sitting there eating this, and then suddenly the girl, I realize some girl comes up to me. It's two girls. They're students, and they both come up to me, and then they're just friends. And I realize that one of them, the one that approaches me, is the one whose backpack was on the tray. And so she's kind of, I can see she's irritated. She's like, "Oh, where did you put the tray?" I'm like, "What tray? What are you?" It's like for a second, I don't realize what she's talking about. And then she's like, "The tray," and I'm like, "Oh crap!" And then I'm like, "Oh, I left it in the classroom." So, and she kind of like looks at me and Stan like, "Oh," like I think she even says like, "Are you gonna get it?" Like she's expecting me to go get it because I'm the one who screwed up. And I'm like, "Oh, I don't have it with me. It's down in the classroom." And I point to the hallway. I'm like, "So you go down the hallway and down the stairs, and it's in the class." And so she knows like I'm not gonna get it, and she gets annoyed. So she's like, I think she kind of rolls her eyes and then leaves with her friend to go and get this cart with her backpack on it. And so I'm kind of embarrassed too, and I quickly get up and I start walking away to go to the car. And so now there's stairs in the hallway somewhere. So I basically start going down the stairs, and there's students all around me talking, and I remember it's springtime. It's early spring, and I'm like, oh, people are gonna be so like excited that the weather is changing. And so then I go down these long stairs, and that's an underground parking garage. That's it. So I go, I think, yeah, there's multiple garages, multiple underground parking lots. So basically I have to go find my car, and I don't know where it is. So I go down into this underground parking, and there's a group of girls, and I think they're walking behind me, and they start complaining. They're like, "Oh, this is so stupid." Like I think they're complaining about the parking and that it's expensive. You have to pay a lot for the parking lot to park at this building underneath the building or school or whatever it was at this point. It's still school. It felt like it was school. So I'm leaving and I go to the underground parking, and I realize I can't find my car, and I take out my key fob, and I have a key fob, and I'm pressing the alarm button, but it's not working. But instead of the alarm turning on, it just makes like a beeping noise, but it's pretty loud. So I do it 2 times, and I'm like, oh, my car's like in that direction, somewhere off to like in the distance. And so I start walking towards it, and it's like a big bluish or blackish SUV that I have. And I walk up to it, and the weird thing is, it makes no sense because it's an underground parking garage, but my car is covered in snow, but very little, like just a tiny bit of snow. And as I get closer to the car, there's a big black truck, like a F-150 type truck that's parked next to it. And as I get to my car, I notice that the driver's side and the passenger side, no, sorry, no, the passenger side, both doors on the passenger side are open, the front and back. And obviously, I freak out. I'm like, oh, somebody tried to break into my car. They must have stolen something. And in my dream, I remember thinking too, it's okay because I have nothing valuable in my car. I never keep anything valuable. I'm like, why would they do this? But then I'm looking at all the windows to see if any of the windows are broken, and they're not. And it makes no sense. I'm like, how did they open the doors? This makes no sense. They're like, I start thinking, did I forget to lock the doors because the doors are open? None of the windows are broken. Like, it's impossible. Somebody somehow opened the doors, but it makes no sense because they can't. So I'm kind of pissed off and frustrated. And then just as I'm getting closer to the car, like to go inside it, a couple, like adults, they're not students anymore, and like, or I'm not at a school or whatever it is, and it's a man and a woman, and they approach the truck. The truck is theirs, but I get really suspicious suddenly. I think maybe they were the ones who like opened my door somehow, and I'm like, what? They kind of come really close to me. So the female comes close to the male's behind her, and she's about to like get to her car. So I don't know what something happens, and I get worried for a second, and I'm like, what do you want? And like I get defensive. I'm asking like, what do you want? Well, why are you here? She's like, oh, this is my car. She's pointing towards the truck. I'm like, I don't know if I say it out loud or if I just think it in my mind. But in the dream, I'm basically saying like, I think I say it out loud actually, and I'm like, oh, what a coincidence! Hey, this is your car, and my doors are open. Like, what's going on? And I think the guy at this point, the guy chimes in and he's like, oh, "This is our truck. We didn't touch your car. We didn't open your doors. Like, we have nothing to do with this." And I don't really believe them. And I feel like I kind of get worried or whatever. So I quickly get into the car, but through the passenger seat, and I quickly close the door and I lock the doors. And they get into their truck, so it actually was their truck, and I can hear them talking. They're having an argument. So this couple, this man and this woman, are arguing about something to do with their in-laws or something, or like the guy's pissed off. I think the guy doesn't want to go somewhere that the woman wants to go, and they're basically just having like some weird couples argument. And so I'm in the passenger seat though, and I'm trying to like climb over my console to get like the middle console to get to the driver's side to turn the car on, and it's all awkward. I'm like, it feels like a very tight space, and I kind of reach over, and I've managed to finally kind of get into the driver's seat. And at this point, suddenly I worry that my battery's dead. For some reason, I keep thinking like, I think in the dream I realized that the car's been sitting for a while, and it's been cold temperatures, even though like it makes no sense. But anyways, I get this real like strong fear that the battery's dead. Like I know I'm gonna start it and it's not gonna start. And the car is pushed to start, so I put my foot on the brake and then push the start button for it to turn on. And it turns on fine though suddenly. And the engine sounds really loud, but I'm like, oh thank God the battery's not dead. Because like I would have been screwed. And then that's I think I basically get ready to drive off, and that's how the dream ends with me just driving the car out of the parking lot.